Hello, and welcome to Live from the Gardens, a Fanimorph podcast about animals and dinosaurs and how to be a convincing Animorph. This week we'll be talking about specifically just the dinosaurs from Megamorphs number 2, the book we read last week on the Dork-Bajir Chronicles. My name is Mikael, the host.
I'm Tessa, the expert.
And I'm Braden, a slithery little ant. I'm not from this planet.
Oh my god.
Jesus. And we're joined this week for a very special mega quiz, mega episode with Scottie, friend of the show. Scottie, say hello.
Hello.
Hi. So, you're a dinosaur expert.
Okay, I want to preface this.
A dinosaur enthusiast?
A dinosaur enthusiast. Because, I'm not a scientist by any stretch, but I am very interested in paleontology and paleontology culture. I don't have any formal training in paleontology, but I certainly try to keep up.
You certainly try to make a hobby of doing just as much work knowing about it.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, needless to say, regardless of any academic credentials or not, you are much better equipped than we are to run the entire episode today. So in an unprecedented move, will be able to pronounce words. I will be handing over.
Mikael, this is so good that you're not doing all of these dinosaur names.
I know.
The 5 strokes you've had in this last 5 minutes, you're unable to talk anymore.
So, just like last Megamorphs, we're going to have a mega quiz, which I don't know if you guys remember, but it was basically like a bunch of questions about a bunch of animals, because the Megamorph books are special books in that it's all the narrators, blah, blah, blah. We talked about it last week. It's not a big deal.
Right. The heady days of yore when we still had points.
When we still had points.
Yeah, points.
Before I won.
Oh, God. You didn't win. We got rid of points.
So, what Scottie's going to do...
No one won.
See, you can see why I eliminated points.
Oh, I can totally see why. I'm actually surprised you ever had them, to be honest.
It was a big mistake. It was a learning experience. So basically, Scottie, you're going to be asking us questions this time, including me, and we'll be answering them to the best of our ability, what little there is, and then you'll fill in the blanks. Does that sound good?
That sounds great.
Okay, well, I'm officially handing you the keys to the Dork-Bajir mobile.
Okay, I will take those keys and hopefully not drive us into a ditch.
Hit a bunch of trash cans. Ooh, reference to the last Megamorphs book.
That is true.
Oh, God, no, please, God.
Wait, first off, Mikael, you didn't explain, Scottie has to pick a person to ask the question to.
Yeah, we'll start with Tessa, Braden, and then me.
Oh,
okay,
God,
sounds
I gotta
good.
set up the precedent for how all this is gonna go.
Okay, all right, TS. So, we're gonna start with this lovely question. Where did the idea that Deinonychus and other raptors, where did the idea come from that they hunted in packs?
The idea came from Jurassic Park. The very first scene when the one scientist says, velociraptors, they hunt in packs. And the other scientist says, we're not cloning velociraptors here. We've got Deinonychus. And he's like, yeah, but we're going to call it Velociraptor and confuse everybody.
I mean...
It's like, on the Blu-ray copy, Spielberg tried to hide it, but if you go into the code, you can see it's right there.
Exactly. That is...
Go into the code?
On
a DVD?
No, a Blu-ray, Braden.
It's a Blu-ray.
Of course, a Blu-ray.
It's like one of those download Blu-ray CD-ROMs.
It's an interactive CD-ROM.
Yeah, but it's also a Blu-ray.
I want to hack the DNC emails. Get me their Blu-rays.
So the real reason why Deinonychus was thought to hunt in packs was because they're one of the very first fossils found of Deinonychus was several skeletons of Deinonychus all surrounding a single skeleton of a herbivorous dinosaur. And so
Oh, that's so cool.
the idea
very
was that Deinonychus hunted in packs. Now,
Yeah.
this doesn't necessarily apply to every single kind of raptor. However, in popular culture, it tends to be that every single raptor hunts in packs. And it also doesn't necessarily mean Deinonychus always was hunting in packs, because for all we know, this was like when grizzly bears are all attracted to like a salmon run. This could have been one carcass where a bunch of raptors were all attracted to it from different territories and stuff like that. We don't have enough evidence to say that Deinonychus for sure was hunting in groups. So
Man, if only Tobias took down that information when they ran into him, then we could trust him.
Can I be real also? Like, when I was doing research, still thinking that I was going to be running this with no help, I was looking at all the fossil stuff, and like, you know, I can track down some good animal sex videos. I've gotten good at it.
Yeah.
The dinosaur stuff is so much like more vague and less confirmed, but it's almost more exciting because of it, because it's like, oh yeah, you know what, fuck you, dinosaurs have feathers.
Yep.
And here's all the good reasons why.
Yeah.
And that's like, I feel like 30 years ago that wasn't even like on anyone's mind.
But you know what? At the same time, the dinosaur sex videos are a lot more exciting as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
true.
the Pteranodon one that we all remember from college.
what is? Oh yeah. Oh god.
Like,
Isn't there
finds a way.
isn't there like a whole like cottage industry of people writing like dinosaur erotica? Isn't that like
Oh yeah, it's
yeah.
a huge
Very
thing. There's this
possible.
one
Yeah,
person
isn't
who
that-
just does ebooks on Amazon.
Isn't
and
that
it
a
will
Jack
go, like,
Tingles book?
Yeah, I
It's
think
like
so.
anal with an ankylosaur.
by the
And it's
raptor.
like super
God.
detailed and makes so much money because people are into everything.
Okay, Scotty, this is where you pump the brakes
Yeah,
on the Dork-Bajir
we're gonna-
mobile and go right into the next
we're
question
gonna,
without answering anything.
So,
Breaks.
Braden.
Yes.
So hadrosaurs, the duck-billed dinosaurs, had well over 1,000 teeth in their jaws. Why did they have that many teeth?
Well, okay. This is actually. This one's actually super I know the literal answer to this one. They had over 1,000 teeth because they needed all of them because they regularly melted because they breathed fire.
Okay. That took a turn. Yeah.
I like that one. In the real world,
I'm counting that as a point.
No!
Yeah, go for
God
it.
damn it!
in the real world, hadrosaurs, which are the classic duck-billed dinosaurs,
Yeah.
they had thousands of teeth all packed into what are called tooth batteries. So basically, the way I find you can imagine these tooth batteries is imagine a giant molar made up of thousands of tiny teeth. Instead of just one
my
big
God.
tooth, it's thousands of tiny teeth all packed into a single flat surface in the back of the jaw, because they didn't have
That's
any teeth in the front.
horrifying.
They had to.
That's
they
like a
had that
nest
beak.
of teeth.
Oh yeah, and
That's very
the
scary.
coolest part about it is the reason they had teeth like this is because they could chew through pretty much anything. They were
Oh my God.
basically the dinosaur equivalent of like garbage disposal. They there is evidence of them eating right through rotten wood and ingesting maggots and stuff along the way. They basically were just all-purpose plant-destroying machines, no matter what kind of plant. And
I mean, like, but to be fair, rotten wood is pretty soft. Like, get a hadrosaur to eat through an airplane like humans can. Then I'll be
yes,
impressed.
of course. Or
As humans do.
Or
Yeah.
those, that reminds me of that, like, wasn't there like a Japanese game show where you had to like bite different
Yes,
objects
see
to
what
see
things are
which one was
chocolate?
chocolate?
Oh.
Dude,
I think my favorite Japanese game show is that one where they get two people to blow on opposite ends of a tube, and there's a cockroach in the middle. So whoever
Oh,
lets
yeah.
up first.
Oh
puts a
my
cockroach
god!
That's the worst.
That's so
That's
messed
the worst
up.
thing
I
I've ever
hate
heard.
that.
But back
in-
to
Oh, there's worse.
back to horrifying teeth. I suddenly want Guillermo del Toro to direct a dinosaur movie
with
and be just about like
Pronounce
the
that first name
hadrosaur
for
teeth.
me again. Pronounce that first name for me again.
You know, Mr. Del Toro of The Shape of Water
Of course.
fame.
Guillermo.
Guillermo.
I said Guillermo. I said Guillermo.
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 That's what I said. I
So,
said Guillermo.
Mikael,
I say Jaguar.
Yeah.
I have
and
a
said
question for
Guillermo.
you.
Oh, I'd love to hear.
So I believe in this book there is a Pteranodon at one point.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes.
What was the purpose of Pteranodon's famous crest on the back of its head?
So a lot of people don't know this, but radio waves have existed for billions of years.
I mean, since the beginning of time.
Yeah. So the Flintstones was actually like, it traveled sort of through time, through fossils. And this is another thing people don't know, is that fossils can actually fossilize TV signals. So it was kind of a crude representation of life back then. So pteranodons were used as antennae for the tops of houses. Mm-hmm. Fun fact. That's a fact for you.
A true fact.
I was going to say it's because of, to keep their teeth white.
Oh, shush, you.
Oh, God, that was bad.
You're not answering this question, and there's a reason.
Tessa, this is why I drink.
Yeah.
This is why I don't.
So the real reason why Pteranodon had that big old crest off the back of its head was to attract the ladies.
Yeah,
One of the
get it.
The most interesting things about Pteranodon is that they are confirmed to have significant differences between males and females. That's actually a really rare thing to know about an extinct species, because usually the sample size is way too small. But Pteranodon is a very, very well-known pterosaur, and so we have tons and tons of skull material that suggests that the big, huge pteranodons with slimmer hips had big, huge crests, whereas the females, which were smaller and had wide hips so they could lay eggs, had smaller crests. And so the males would probably, the hypothesis is that the males probably had a flashy, colorful crest, because pterosaurs also likely had color vision to attract the ladies and to kind of maybe even scare off the smaller males. So it was basically Pteranodon's version of a peacock tail.
Nice.
Were they like pretty awkward on land? Like obviously flying is fine.
So Pteranodon probably was a little more awkward than other pterosaurs. There are some pterosaur species that were actually probably spent just as much time walking as they did flying. But Pteranodon in particular was basically the pterosaur equivalent of like an albatross, which are not good at walking. And Pteranodon probably wasn't the best. It had such long forearms that it in comparison to its back legs, that like it probably couldn't walk very well. And there's actually a really close relative of Pteranodon that straight up didn't even have like any real digits on its front legs. So basically pterosaurs, their wing is entirely made up for the most part by their pinky finger, and then they have 3 other fingers that that support their legs or their front part of their body for walking, whereas there was a relative of Pteranodon that didn't have any fingers on its hand other than the wing finger. And so it probably could barely walk, is the hypothesis.
The reason I ask is because when you said they have super slim waist and giant heads, I just assumed them walking upright with Dorito-shaped bodies being like, yo, 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 yo.
No, actually, for the longest time, pterosaurs were thought to walk on 2 legs. Like it was it took forever for paleontologists to figure out that they were walking on all 4s. And now that we have footprints or trackways from pterosaurs, we now know for sure that they were walking on all 4s. But like it wasn't, even into the early 2000s, I think it was legit to think that pterosaurs were walking on 2 legs. However,
I remember
the best The best way I can describe it is if you've ever seen a vampire bat walk, that's probably the way pterosaurs walked.
Okay, yeah. I get
Which
that.
is kind of like a
totally.
creepy scuttle.
I remember when I was a kid, like anytime I had like a what's called like a pterosaur or like pterodactyl, it was probably called toy. It was always like in flight.
Yes.
Like it had like wings stretched and like feet like sort of flattened behind it.
Yeah.
And then I would like try to play with it and like, oh, it's gonna land now. And I either had to like scoot it along like with its wings unfolded or like slink it on its belly.
Yep.
Like
Just
a worm.
slide it like an airplane, just and the little wheels come out. The thing is that the paleontologists haven't found the pterodon wheels because those were all cartilage and dissolved.
Exactly. The rare
That's what
Pteranodon wheel. Right down the middle. They were unicycles. They were biological unicycles.
Just one little wheel, like a
Like
Dr.
that
Seuss
like that one
toy.
race from His Dark Materials.
Sweet Jesus.
yeah.
Tessa, I have a lovely question for you right here.
Hello.
How did T-Rex go about eating a Triceratops? What did it start with? What did it do first?
Well,
Are you sure that you didn't read this book? Because that totally happens in this book.
it totally happens in this book.
T-Rex eating Triceratops is basically a cliche at this point. So
That's like the thing
that's
that
true
happens.
also.
Well, what it does first, which is what Megamorphs number 2 got wrong, is it tries to put a napkin on its like neck. It has like an indented collarbone. Like a really skinny nerd. Every single T-Rex has like an indented collarbone deep enough that a napkin fits. It takes forever to put the napkin in there, just because it's got to twist around, and also finding a napkin takes ages. So eating a Triceratops is a long and arduous process. But then when they finally get down to it, they start with the butthole.
the butthole.
Yeah,
Oh,
rim
Jesus.
job.
Oh, fucking Christ.
Oh God.
Yeah, keep it classy.
You know,
Class.
I don't even have any, like, horny questions for you guys. I wish I did, but, like,
Oh,
you,
no.
you had to make
Scott,
this one.
that one was pretty horny.
Triceratops. Oh.
And he also triceratops. If you know what I'm saying.
I do know it. I bet you, is there
Our bottoms.
a Tingle book about triceratoping a guy? Get it?
Probably.
You know what? I bet there fucking is. I swear
Please
to
look
God,
it
I
up,
think
Braden.
there is a Jack Tingle. Jack Tingle.
Topped by a
Jack Tingle giving
triceratops.
you the triceratop tingle.
I think I saw the cover of this one. It's like, my Triceratops boss fucks me in the ass.
oh, Jesus.
So while Braden's looking that
Denies me a
up,
raise.
the reality of Tyrannosaurus eating Triceratops.
Oh my God.
Oh God, what's it called?
Pharma Bro, Pounded in the Butt by T-Rex comedian Bill Murky and a clan of Triceratops rappers try to get their album back
What?
by Chuck Tingle.
What the fuck?
Oh my god.
That is so
Guys.
much more wild than
That's our next podcast. Is reviewing those books.
anything I could have possibly guessed.
Oh, there's also Gagent Brontosaurus. The butt is not enough.
Sweet Jesus. Okay,
Gagent. That's
so
Probably like goes for the hindquarters though, right? Away from the big horns.
actually surprisingly, there is evidence that T-Rex did an extremely gruesome thing when eating Triceratops, although this is not a 100, like most things in paleontology, not 100% confirmed. There is some criticism of this idea, is that T-Rex would use the frill for leverage and basically bite the frill, hold the body down, and rip the head off of
God!
Triceratops
Oh my God.
to get
That's
at
so metal.
the neck muscles, which
Man, imagine if
would
Cassie
be
did
high
that
in
the
protein.
book. That would have been intense.
Yeah.
No wonder she didn't want to do it.
T-Rex, like, it probably didn't kill Triceratops this way, but it probably, when it was dismembering the carcass, this was a very easy way of getting at the neck muscles, which for Triceratops would have been a lot of food that on the neck there.
I definitely thought that sentence was
T-Rexes
gonna
have
end
that?
with, like, it just ate the Triceratops alive after doing this.
Sweet Jesus, like a snake?
Which is
Do
gruesome.
T-Rexes have that kind of like claw, the little toe, like the dew claw, essentially?
That's a pretty much exclusive to the Dromaeosaur family, like the raptors. Instead, T-Rex just had the classic theropod foot, which was just the 3 kind of bird-like toes. But I mean,
Like a chicken foot?
yeah, basically. But on an animal like bigger than an elephant, that's still pretty terrifying. So I wouldn't.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah.
I'm scared of chickens, so
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
yeah. T-Rex was basically a chicken bigger than an elephant. So,
Well, that's the end of that podcast. We've solved it.
All right. Well, done.
I have a question for Brayden. Why did Kronosaurus go extinct? That was the 4-flippered, crocodile-headed marine reptile.
Yeah. Okay. So, it's actually very sad. Kronosaurus were actually sued by Kronos Industries, a powerful conglomerate that actually recently came back into the news. They were purchased by Bain Capital, and Bain Capital dumped a bunch of debt on them and just used them as a fucking farm, and then sold them off again. Yada yada yada. You know.
Oh, and that's why all the Kronos
But,
stores near me are closing. Oh, right.
Yeah. Kronos sued them, and obviously received the naming rights back because they're $1 million company. But obviously all the Kronosaurs were like, well, we can't change our name. We're not sentient. What do you want us to do?
And
So they just hunted them to extinction. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say, like, sued to death. like
No, they were summarily executed.
America 2018. Sued to
I'm gonna
death.
sue you to death.
Financial murder.
So I think, from what I understand, this Animorphs book takes place like at the very end of the Cretaceous,
Late
like when
Cretaceous,
the dinosaurs
yep.
all went extinct. Probably the most obvious mistake is that I think there's a Kronosaurus in the story when Kronosaurus went extinct in like the early Cretaceous. So
the book itself actually apologizes.
I heard about that too.
Listen, we got some shit wrong.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's kind of frustrating because there's
it's not
totally
phrased like that.
there's a really great like a really cool marine reptile they could have used instead of a Kronosaurus. I don't quite get why they didn't. This marine reptile would have been a mosasaur, which are basically like giant aquatic monitor lizards. Like they're actually very closely related to monitor lizards. They would have even had like the forked tongue and everything.
Well, the thing about, I mean, we're talking like about serial, like 100% like serial stories here. They probably didn't have a lot of time to pump them out.
No,
Apparently this one was a big event.
Time.
Like they had like those big cardboard cutouts in bookstores and stuff purely to promote this one dinosaur Animorph books. It wasn't like a side piece. It was like, let's market the shit out of it. Anyways, we talked about that a lot last week, so let's move on. I want to hear some more dinosaur shit.
The one thing I just wanted to add about Kronosaurus is the reason it actually went extinct was because those mosasaurs likely outcompeted them, at least a little bit. There isn't a whole lot of evidence for why Kronosaurus went extinct, but it likely had something to do with the appearance of mosasaurs and sharks. Sharks before that were relatively small, and right around the time Kronosaurus went extinct was when the first great white shark-sized sharks started appearing. So it was probably literally sharks and lizards outcompeted Kronosaurus.
You know what would have been cool in this book
too
is
much
if like
sense.
that circular jaw shark made an appearance. I don't know if it's the right time period for it.
Heliocoprion?
Yeah,
no.
that one.
That's a little bit like 100 million years too late for Heliocoprion.
I figured.
Yeah.
Darn.
Duh, Tessa.
Yeah, duh, Tesla.
I know, I'm sorry.
You're
okay?
embarrassing us.
Okay, no, that was a joke. I was just playing dumb. I actually know a lot about dinosaurs.
Whoa.
I'm just playing
Who
dumb, you
doesn't?
guys.
So, Mikael, I have a question for you.
Yeah, let's
So,
do it.
what is the meaning of Saltosaurus's name? Why is it called
Wait, that's
Saltosaurus?
a real one?
It
Yeah,
was in the
Saltosaurus.
book.
Yeah,
When did
we
they run
we
into
had a
Saltosaurus?
good time with this
I
name.
forgot about that.
So it's just straight up like the word salt, asaurus.
Yep.
The way it got its name, actually, it's pretty sad. It used to be like an apex predator. We're talking like challenging T-Rexes in terms of population size and danger.
Arm wrestling mostly.
Yeah, a lot of mean tweets. It was kind of rough, actually. But what happened eventually was the T-Rexes, evolution, so on. They eventually outcompeted these Saltosauruses, which weren't called Saltosaurus at the time. Only afterwards, when they died due to crying to death.
Yikes.
And that's how they got the name. They're actually, all fossils were found solidly encased in, like, salt. But emitting purely from their tear ducts. They're the first dinosaurs. I'm going off on rails here. Okay. Help me, Scott.
no,
What
okay.
is it?
No, I really like this.
This podcast is going off on rails.
Okay.
They
I
used
like
to be
being on the
called
side of the chair.
Sugarasaurus until like God put the wrong white powder in his cookies, and then he was like, "Fuck, these cookies are terrible. I'm gonna change the name of a dinosaur."
So
It was cocaine.
The real meaning behind Saltosaurus's name is way more boring. Literally, it's just named after a place in Argentina called Salta.
Oh my god!
I know, right? It's so depressing. I wish it had like a really funny, awesome reason for having that name. And Saltosaurus was another animal that was a little out of place in the book because although it did live at the very end of the Cretaceous, it was only found in South America. And I'm not sure if they went to South America in the book. Did they? I don't.
They went to
Well, they would have been in
Pangaea,
North
Scottie.
America.
Yeah. Well, South America at the time was actually an island continent, and so it had like no connection to North America. It actually, for millions of years.
Since you're here, I want to ask you, because at the end of the book, they basically like watch the world evolve back to present day in fast forward. And they say at one point, like, the continent splits and spreads all over the world, and Antarctica becomes cold and all that stuff. Is the late Cretaceous, we're not talking Pangaea, right?
No.
Like, that was after the split.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought,
So
too.
although like the continents were very different back then, saying that they were splitting up kind of doesn't quite make sense because during the late Cretaceous, they were basically as isolated as they've ever been. Like, there were some land bridges between North America and Asia and Europe and Asia, and like that's about it for the most part. The like Africa, Australia, I think was still connected to Antarctica at that point. But like Africa, South America, and like India was its own island continent. It hadn't connected with the rest of Asia. So like
That's crazy.
describing it as the continents split apart is not like it's a very vague statement, but it isn't exactly correct either. I'd be more inclined to say like things were coming together, were growing closer together from the Cretaceous till now.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially like
That is not the impression I got.
South
from the
America
book at all.
South America in particular, like it was an island continent for most of like between the extinction of the non-bird dinosaurs and now, South America was mostly an island continent.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And then it just like kind of touched North America a little bit.
Yeah, it basically just like lightly touched North America, and all hell broke loose, and almost every animal that used to live in South America was wiped out by animals from North America. It was kind of sad.
Damn.
Yeah.
Shit.
South America, get better.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much the only animals that are left that are like really obvious and significant from South America are like sloths and armadillos and anteaters, and like that's about it. Most of
And like
the
sloths are
worst
on their
animals.
way out.
most of the large mammals all died out. There used to be like saber-toothed marsupials, and like they had their own natural like hooved mammals that all looked really weird that have like no modern relatives. They had the terror birds, which were like the largest of which were like 10-foot tall birds that
Those
were
are like the really
exclusively
big
carnivorous.
ostriches, right?
Oh yeah, like a hammerbeak.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen these
in
guys.
there?
They're terrifying.
In D&D, they call them axe beaks a lot of the time, which is basically a terror bird.
In like the old 90s dinosaur videos that you see, they're always shown eating really cute little like horses that look like dogs.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's
9 times
terrifying
out of
because
10.
they're huge and they've got teeth.
They don't. They got beaks. Don't worry.
They don't have teeth. Okay,
No, they got beaks.
but they're still scary.
Yeah. So that how did we even get to here? I don't even remember.
Saltosaurus.
Yeah. So Saltosaurus was found in South America and was named after a town in Argentina. It was one of the latest living sauropods, which are those classic long necks. If they were in North America, a much more accurate long neck dinosaur that they could put in there, which I don't even know if it was discovered when this book was written, was called Alamosaurus, like named after the Alamo. And it was actually much bigger than Saltosaurus. So, although
I don't actually know where they were supposed to be in this book. I don't think it was like literally.
You're not supposed to know.
A Sario rip
Brandon.
is supposed to have. Well, obviously, I mean, it's in North America. We know that much, but like. Yeah. I'm just saying that in the context of the book, they could have been blown. They went to Brazil in the last time they hit a Sario rip.
That's because the spaceship fell to Brazil.
Well, I mean, they also got hit by a nuclear weapon.
Actually, they also got so they could have been blown around.
Wait, is that how they went back in time?
Wasting.
Yeah,
yes. It's a big nuke.
We're wasting. I spent so much money getting Scottie here.
To
do this expert episode.
I have a question.
1,000 rupees.
I have a question for Tessa. I think we're on Tessa, are we not? Yes,
we are.
Yes.
So Tessa, besides the fin on its back, what made Spinosaurus so unique among meat-eating dinosaurs?
It was the only one to take down T-Rex.
Oh!
He only did it once, but
I've
my
seen
God,
Jurassic
the rest
Park
of them
3.
remembered it. And also in Jurassic Park 3, you see a Pteranodon walk around, and that's all he wanted to talk about. And I was like, no, he didn't walk around correctly.
No, I think they did, didn't they? They walked on all fours.
Yeah, he walked around, but it wasn't like...
Right.
I don't think their wings were correct. It was more like crawling, and his wings were like pinned to his sides, rather than his wings being out front.
They were in like these little cages, right? So
it was a really big cage, excuse you.
No, because
it wasn't...
They had...
It flew down.
Pterosaur.
It was pretty big.
Yeah,
it's just they also had the scenes where they were
cage.
in the catwalk, where it would walk along
that
the
was
catwalk.
The catwalk cage is the one I was talking about, that they were walking in.
I think, for the most part, the Pteranodons in Jurassic Park 3 were walking accurate? Relatively accurate. I mean, they also, the biggest issue I have with the Jurassic Park 3 Pteranodons is that they had teeth, and Pteranodon literally means winged and toothless. So,
face Spielberg, take it.
Basically. So yeah, Spinosaurus was...
My biggest issue is, sorry to interrupt, but my biggest issue with Jurassic Park 3 is like the terrible green screen in the very beginning.
Oh god, yes.
But yes, Spinosaurus.
Spinosaurus definitely defeated T-Rex in Mortal Kombat in Jurassic Park 3. However, the two would have never met in real life. They there was about 30 million years and the Atlantic Ocean between them.
But if they did, I'm gonna write a play about it.
But now I gotta do like massive rewrites on my play, which I started when I was 12.
Damn it.
Just a quick fun note. I searched for pictures of Saltosaurus.
Yeah.
But like a weird number of results on Google Images are just like screen caps of tweets about the Ugandan Knuckles meme. Just for the record.
Just that meme. Just that meme specifically.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So Spinosaurus was actually one of the weirdest dinosaurs, especially among meat-eating dinosaurs. In recent years, it has gotten weirder and weirder. We now know it probably had really weird proportions. It probably had really short back legs. And so it had a really elongated body and short legs, and it probably wasn't very good at walking or running. However, it was probably almost completely aquatic. So it was basically it lived at a time when northern Africa, which is where it's from, was almost entirely covered in like estuaries and swamps. And so Spinosaurus was chilling in there, and it had, rather than having like the kind of blade like flattened teeth of other meat eaters, it had conical teeth, which are more like a crocodile. And so it used those to catch fish. And so Spinosaurus was really weird because it is the first non-bird dinosaur to be #confirmed aquatic. Although there is a new raptor species that was discovered last year that, or named last year, that also is now known to have been semi-aquatic. But Spinosaurus...
Then that name is
The-
Mega-Spinosaurus. Nailed it.
No, that name is Albert Einstein horse. They just dropped the Saurus. They just called it Horus.
God damn it. If we
Sweet
ever
Jesus.
tell another, and that man's name was Albert Einstein joke on this podcast, I'm just gonna die of an aneurysm.
Braden, you never should have told me. Now I have that weapon against you.
Okay, I'm not actually gonna die, Tessa. I don't have a power trip.
Aw, damn it.
So yeah, Spinosaurus was super weird.
Yeah.
Braden.
Knock, knock.
Elasmosaurus was that really long-necked, four-flippered marine reptile.
Yeah.
And it had
Loch
eyes.
Ness.
A lot of the time, a Loch Ness monster is, people say it's a plesiosaur like Elasmosaurus. Why did Elasmosaurus have eyes almost directly on top of its head?
Well, obviously they needed... I was actually about to give a legitimate answer. Oops.
You can do that.
Braden,
You can
this
do
is
that,
all
Braden.
legitimate.
It's all legitimate.
I was giving real answers.
Yeah. So Elasmosaurus was really big into ASMR. so into ASMR that it actually like ended up getting into like their evolutionary stream. Like people like Elasmosaurus bred on how well you could listen to ASMR. And so eventually they ended up with eyes almost vertically on their head, because what they did was they would just put on their headphones for ASMR, and then like it would be its own sleep mask. You know, because you don't listen to ASMR right if you don't have a sleep mask on. And they could just like put a little padding on their headphones, slip them on, bim bam, 2 in 1.
Wow.
Yeah, but how do you put them
Shut
on, though, really?
If you have flippers and can't reach your head because your neck is like most of your
That's
body
why
length.
they got the floating ones,
Well, like,
guys.
I mean,
so they put it on
they're-
the surface.
Do
of
they
the
put it
water
on
and
each
just
other?
Oh
dove underneath it.
They put it on each other, yeah.
Oh my god, it's like that parable where heaven is you use your big spoons to feed each other.
Tessa,
Hell is
what
to try
even
and
the
use your big
fuck?
spoons.
No,
Yeah,
wrong.
you heard this
What have we
story?
said about parables?
It's so weird. It's like hell. It's like everybody has great big like 5-foot spoons tied to their arms. Hell, you use your spoons to try and eat. Heaven, you're using your spoons to feed each other.
Sweet Jesus.
Now you're just
And
being
that's a
like
lesson
purposefully
for us all.
controversial.
Is that your religion? So that's your religion, huh?
That's my zombie religion.
Your religion shows its true face.
So
Okay.
We also don't
Elasmosaurus
believe in
actually
dinosaurs.
Yes.
had eyes on the top of its head, likely so that it could sneak up on schools of fish. Because Elasmosaurus despite the fact it was about 45 feet long, it had a very, very tiny head. And so it probably was exclusively eating relatively small fish. And if you've ever watched like Blue Planet or anything like that, you've probably seen that schools of small fish are actually pretty hard to catch. And so Elasmosaurus would have snuck up from underneath them. At least this is the hypothesis.
And watched for like their sun outline.
Basically. And
That would have been so freaky. Like, you're just chilling out, you're being a fish, you're swimming with your friends, and then out of nowhere, this little guy's like, I'm a muncher.
Yep, basically. Not
And,
even
like,
a little
40
guy,
feet
a
away, you
45
see,
like,
feet
huge
foot
guy.
long guy.
Like 45 foot long with a teeny tiny head.
Yeah,
the
with a
size of
teeny
your
tiny
body.
head.
And like 45 feet away, you see the body.
Yeah.
And it's like, I thought that was just a whale in the distance.
And the other thing
it's
that's
for
really
death.
cool about its eyes is it probably, because they were like almost directly on top of its head and they both faced in almost the exact same direction, it probably meant it had binocular vision, which is pretty freaking weird to think of an animal with binocular vision on top of its head. So it could have, unlike like a lot of other reptiles today, which have eyes only on like the sides of their head, Elasmosaurus had them on the top, so it could, both eyes had the overlapping vision, allowing it to judge distances really well, which would have made catching tiny little fish way easier.
Yeah, I was going to say, without binocular vision, it would be almost impossible to do
Yeah.
that, right? Because
Yeah.
It'd be difficult.
who knows how far they
Yeah.
are. Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, sharks do okay.
I mean, sharks also have electroreceptors that allow them to like sense the
That's true.
vibrations in the water that like
That's it.
True. We learned
I just
that
taught
from
you
books.
this. You're embarrassing me.
So yeah, that's Elasmosaurus. It was a very cool animal, and it actually lived around the same time as the dinosaurs in this book. Although I don't think there's any known from the very end of the Cretaceous. I think they're like 10 million years out from the extinction event. But I mean, pretty
Oh,
close.
so pretty close.
Relatively. I mean, closer than Kronosaurus, which was about, or
Yeah.
Spinosaurus, which like 30 million to 50 million years off.
Yeah.
So, who are we on? I don't even remember. Mikael.
Yes.
This is a really interesting question. What did the skin of Triceratops look like?
It's a trick question. Because it depends on which Triceratops.
Oh.
Okay. Yes. So, Gwyneth Paltrow travels back in time.
Holy shit.
So Goop, her company, it's actually not an acronym. It's named after primordial goop.
Oh
So
my god.
she travels back in time. This is a long story, so I'll condense it. She created skin products for dinosaurs essentially long before she existed. Okay.
Wow.
No, that's actually I'm dry.
That's all
I'm
you
dry. Yeah. Yeah.
She would go back in time and rub the prehistoric mud that didn't have go back before trees could dissolve by bacteria and rub the prehistoric mud all over dinosaurs to make them buttery smooth.
Oh god.
But only some of them who could afford it.
Yeah.
'Cause this is high end shit.
Yeah. And they paid her 1,000 rupees.
Yeah.
So Triceratops skin was actually really interesting. We have there are some skin impressions of Triceratops that are like the most dinosaurs had skin that was like pebbly. It wouldn't be like scaly like a lizard, like the overlapping scales. It would have been more like kind of the pebbly skin you see on like the feet of chickens, where it's kind of just like
okay.
bumps. And Triceratops had skin like that, except it also had these huge kind of nodules spread out across its body, which were basically like big, lumpy, extra big scales. And then that's what we know for sure. But because Triceratops had an ancestor who had quills, a lot of people like to reconstruct Triceratops with some kind of bristles on its body, which is really interesting.
That is
Although
really cool.
there is there's zero evidence
Very little evidence.
that Triceratops for sure had the bristles. It because its ancestor had them, it doesn't necessarily exclude the idea of Triceratops having them, which is pretty cool.
What's the point of the bristles?
So the animal that we know for sure that had them is called Psittacosaurus, and it had the quills on its tail. Now, it's more than likely the quills were a display structure, kind of a lot like what we talked about with the Pteranodon crest. They might have been used as a communication tool, or to actually display to members of that like they wanted to mate with, and but we don't know for sure. I have seen people speculate like, oh, what if it used the quills on its tail like a frickin' porcupine? But like, I don't think there's any evidence of that. And as far as I know, like the big difference between the two is that a Psittacosaurus quill was like smooth, and I think it was hollow, whereas a porcupine quill, although it is hollow, it also has barbs on it, which make it so it stays in whatever it sticks into. And I don't think Psittacosaurus had that. So I have my doubts that Psittacosaurus was a dinosaur porcupine.
I love that, like, this is just a sidebar, but, like, listening to you talk, because I couldn't understand about 90% of that, but I will say that I love that this is a field where it's, like, you as a hobbyist or whatever you want to call yourself can have theories about something. Do you know what I mean? Because, like, when I'm researching animal facts, it's basically like, okay, if I don't understand why we use lobster eyes to, like, develop X-ray technology, I'm just fucked because someone knows, right? Like, I don't know, and I'll never know, and I'm not allowed to have theories because someone already knows the answer.
Or if you want to
dinosaurs,
it's like being one of those idiots who think that porcupine like throw their quills.
Yeah, there's that myth there. Yeah, whereas with dinosaurs, it's like, who the fuck even knows? Although I will like say this again, like when I'm saying this stuff, a lot of this is like stabs in the dark, even from people that are way smarter than me. Like when someone reconstructs a Triceratops with quills, that is 100% a guess. Like we don't have skin impressions from a Triceratops all over its body, so we don't know what it looked like in its entirety. And I don't even think that the skin impressions that we have been fully described by science. So it's like almost everything about dinosaur science is a horrifying guess, but it's a lot of fun to speculate. And I mean, personally, I find like the quilled Triceratops almost cliche at this point. I like to see like, especially on the tail, which is because it's like, what are the odds that Triceratops had quills on its tail exactly the same as an animal that it was related to that was 100 million years older than it? So,
like Scottie, you've got to have seen this comic by now. There's this really cool it's an XKCD comic, and it's this like weird thing like pops out of nowhere and is like, "Hello humans, I have come back in time to see real spiders." And the humans are like, What are you talking about? You like spiders?" And he's like, "Yeah, in the future, we're obsessed with spiders. We look at their fossils and just think they're the fucking coolest." And then the humans are like, "Sure, there's a spider right there." And then he's like, "Whoa, what's that thing the spider's sitting on?" "Oh, it's a web. They make webs. And they, like, live on them." And the thing from the future is like, "Wow, we didn't know about that." And the humans are like, "Oh, I guess there's just a bunch of stuff. The webs didn't fossilize. Holy shit, dinosaurs were probably fucking crazy looking."
I mean, yeah, I haven't seen that comic in particular, but I absolutely adore that sentiment. And like, there is this, there has been this movement in recent years that has been all about like speculating based off of the data that we have, how weird were dinosaurs? Because, I mean, think about even the weirdest animals or even the most normal animals today. Like, think about, like, cats have quills on their tongues. Like, that's pretty freaking weird. So, like...
And also on their penises.
I mean, also on their penises. So, like, what did a dinosaur's penis look like? I mean, these are legitimate questions.
Wait. Oh, no. We need to know... for this podcast, especially, if there's any information on dinosaur penises.
Yes.
As of now, none.
Oh, yeah.
However,
no.
I will say, one of the most interesting questions in all of paleontology is how the fuck did Stegosaurus mate? Because
butt to butt.
Exactly. That is butt to butt is a real answer. The possibility that Stegosaurus backed up against each other and like basically just kind of butt to butt.
And they're also the most protected that way because the tail is up and you're ready to like just stab anybody.
You know what? I'm calling it right now. Stegosaurus never actually stopped boning each other. They were constantly back to back, penis and vagina, ready to mate at any time, just spinning around constantly, a whirlwind of death.
Jesus.
In love to defend against Tyrannosaurus Rex and other predators.
They split apart, so the centrifugal force, it gets to be so much that eventually the penis rips off inside the vagina, but what's left in between as the two go flying into the distance is the baby.
Isn't that like what animal is it that rips its dick off and gives it to the female?
That's an octopus.
Is that an octopus?
Octopus will like
so.
rip their dicks off and throw them at the female.
No.
Yeah,
spider.
I think it is an octopus. I think Tessa's right.
I've heard it's an octopus because they'll like rip off one of their tentacles, the penile one, and just be like, "Hey, go fuck yourself."
Yeah, I think it's either a squid or an octopus. I think Tessa's right. But like, yeah,
I know that cuttlefish hide on other males' penises so that they can like essentially slip directly into other.
So wait, you're telling me cuttlefish cuck each other so that they're cucklefish?
No.
They're like stealth cuck.
Cuckoldry has to be out in the open. You do that shit for an audience.
My bad.
This is more like a what's it called? Dirty Casper.
Oh my god.
Sweet Jesus.
Okay.
What caused? This is my last question, and I think
we all answer it then.
I think this is one that all of you can answer because it's a very interesting one. And that, what caused the extinction of the non-bird dinosaurs 66 million years ago?
Okay,
let's go around the table. Tessa, you're first.
So that pebbly skin it started with the stegosauruses because they kept boning because they figured it was their best defense. But the pebbly skin around their genitals rubbed together, and because it was way back in the day and we didn't know about global warming, the earth was just dry. It was just like, all right, you haven't invented global warming yet, and you haven't invented the need to know about humidity and air dryness, so it was just always dry. So the pebbly skin rubbed against each other and caused a spark. Gwyneth Paltrow's goop was everywhere. The Stegosaurus especially tried using it as lube, but they didn't.
Fuck her! I was gonna use Gwyneth Paltrow.
Really, really flammable. So this spark just ignited it, and because
through time
as we all know,
burned down Fort McMurray.
Oh god! Shush!
Come on.
As we all know, that dinosaurs are oil. Like when you put oil in your car, it's from a dinosaur. So dinosaurs are also really combustible. They were oil back when they were still dinosaurs. So as soon as the spark happened, they just exploded. Yeah. Boom, 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 boom.
And that's how the dinosaurs died.
If you want a second, Braden, I thought of an answer while Tessa was talking.
Okay, yeah.
Mikael, you want a second?
You go.
Okay. So, the way that the dinosaurs ended, everyone knows asteroid, right? Right? Here's a thing that people don't know. There was a very specific species of dinosaur called the Bruce Willisaurus. Okay, he was part of a team. It was a very it's weird because most of the dinosaurs that they send into space, they're astronauts. He wasn't. The Bruce Willisaurus was a burrowing. I think they were miners or something, right?
They were drillers. They were deep-sea drillers.
Drillers, okay, yeah. So it was a burrowing dinosaur, and they thought its expertise might actually be better for,
getting rid of the asteroid.
Yeah, and like some kind of natural gas deposit or whatever the fuck dinosaurs turned into eventually, into the asteroid and blowing it up from the inside. The problem is, none of that could happen because they don't have space travel or anything like that.
And so they just died from an asteroid?
Yeah, they just died. It was actually a fever dream. Okay, Brayden, I need to hear your theory because I know mine's right, but I just want to get you out of the way.
It's actually dinosaurs all died off because of just one long, overly committed one overly long commitment to a water denial role play. They were mutual. They were all dinosaurs were all polyamorous and all into creepy, overly authoritative, sub-dom sex shit.
Triceratops!
To the point where they literally all starved each other to death, erotically denying each other food and water.
But man, that last orgasm would have been
Fuck!
Yeah,
Did they
it was
come?
hot.
It literally went up into the atmosphere, became a singular hard piece of rubble, and then came down and caused an extinction-level comet event.
But they were already dead.
They were already dead.
No, but that comet is what killed the bird dinosaurs. The comets! Oh, it wasn't a comet, it was a comet!
Yeah, tied it all together. You tied it all together, Tessa.
There you go.
That's why you're the funny one.
That's why I'm the funny one!
Oh, beautiful.
Mikael called you the funny one. That's worth a point.
The point, we're tied.
So, the real reason dinosaurs died out is because, and all the pterosaurs and the large marine reptiles as well. And actually a lot of mammals too. A lot of mammals went extinct. And most of the birds, only a few bird groups actually survived as well. The reason all those animals went extinct was likely the kicker was the asteroid that hit the Gulf of Mexico 66 million years ago. Throws up ash into the atmosphere, causes like nuclear winter basically, like, or impact winter, and like it was really horrifying and stuff. But like one of the interesting things is that there's some data that suggests now that this happened only a few thousand years, I think, after an
Jesus
enormous after Jesus came. They all found Jesus and they stopped having premarital sex. And because dinosaurs were sexually mature before they were fully grown, they all just stopped having sex in general. Anyway,
Jesus.
a few thousand years before the asteroid, there was volcanic eruptions in India, and in an event that is called like the Deccan event, I believe, or Deccan. I'm not quite sure how to say it, but it was basically a supervolcano eruption that would have like caused a very sudden drop in global temperature, and this was probably it probably didn't, like, because it happened a few thousand years before the asteroid, it probably wasn't involved in like the exact death of the dinosaurs, but if you were recovering from a supervolcano eruption and then an asteroid hit you, you would probably just be so screwed. And so it was probably kind of like a 1-2 punch. The dinosaurs might have even survived the asteroid if it weren't for the supervolcano. There's still a lot of research being done at this point. I actually just saw a talk this weekend at the Alberta Paleontology Society Symposium, and they were talking about how they're like not 100% sure on the Deccan eruptions being 100% like destructive to the dinosaurs right before their extinction, but like
Deccan traps?
The Deccan trap is like, that's what I think the geological like formation is called or something. I'm not 100% sure. It's called like Deccan volcanism or Deccan eruption. That was like the actual event. And so yeah, it's really interesting we even after like a lot of people have said, like, yes, we know exactly how the dinosaurs died. There's still a lot of research being done. The biggest thing is most of the research done on dinosaurs right before they went extinct are all of the dinosaurs mostly from Montana and South Dakota. But there are tons of formations with geological formations with dinosaur fossils from all over the world from the end of the Cretaceous. So there's tons of data to be done on them, like in Madagascar and India, and even some stuff here in Alberta and Saskatchewan. So like, who knows what exactly happened? We do know the asteroid happened and it probably played a role, but we still don't know how big of a role. So that's pretty cool.
So that is pretty cool, actually, because I know that despite it being sort of like children book canon that the asteroid killed all the dinosaurs, it does seem unlikely that it's the only thing. Or at the very least, it does seem like if it was the only thing, it had to have caused a chain reaction of things beyond.
Oh, it was
just an explosion. Right?
It was. I mean, even then, like the impact winter would from the impact would have been just absolutely terrifying. Like the you wouldn't see the sun for like years. It would have been. It was. Is very apocalyptic, and the scary thing is that it wasn't even the closest that life has come to being completely wiped off the Earth. There are way worse mass extinctions in our geologic history.
Don't talk about it because it creeps me out too much. And people are like, "It's the 6th great extinction." It's like, nope, I can handle it. I got enough problems.
It's pretty terrifying. It's pretty terrifying.
Like, I have literally. I was talking about this at lunch with some friends. I have literally no skills in the apocalypse.
I know how to start a fire with sticks.
I'm sticking next to my boyfriend who can at least butcher any animals we hunt.
I am 100%. I'm not that strong, fast, and I'm going to admit it here, I'm not that smart, but when it comes right down to it, I am ready and willing to eat a person. I feel like that's an underestimated skill in the apocalypse. I mean, because
I agree.
Everybody else is going to be like, no, I never do it. Oh, Braden's doing it?
Just like,
well, maybe
he's ready.
Somebody's got to break the seal.
We got chips. We've got like a bunch of like smoked meats in the back. He's like, no, it's fine. I always hated this guy.
Like, Braden, it's just a blackout. Stop eating.
Guillermo del Toro wasn't going to make it anyway, guys.
It's pronounced Guillermo. Okay.
Guillermo del Toro.
Guillermo del Toro.
We have one last thing to do, and that is, for those of you keeping track at home, the hypothetical question of the week.
Hypothetical question of the week.
Hypothetical question of the week.
Question of the week.
Question of the week.
Since we have an expert here with us, I decided not to pick a super weird one, like which dinosaur would
win in like a
be the best
game.
Scrabble player.
Which dinosaur would be the top? Which one would be the bottom?
I decided to just go with, and we'll go around the table, myself included, which of the dinosaurs that we talked about today best matches you as your personality from what you know about them. So, Scottie, I'm assuming you'll have a more informed answer than me, which is the Pteranodon because of his big dick. Actually, it's like a head dick.
And also, like, because, Mikael, you're always wearing, like, really obnoxious hats and, like, flashy sequin vests and peacocking around.
Yep.
Don't you fucking talk about my boy's vests like that.
I'm really adamant about how I don't have teeth. And it's, like, really important.
And your hips
think I have teeth? I don't fucking have teeth. Stop
Stop
telling me I have teeth.
My hips are slim. Shut up.
Oh, man.
Okay, when I first heard the question, I got really excited and thought we could just pick any dinosaur. And I was, like, gonna bend the rules and see if I could pick that one guy from Heritage Minutes who finds the dinosaurs in, like... Canada that you sometimes saw if you visited Canada and you were watching on the TV, and he like brushes you away. And then I got really and then I just looked up like a list of dinosaur names because I thought we could just pick any dinosaur, and I found one called Zibby, which is a theropod that's huge with a tiny ass head.
What the heck are you talking about?
That's pretty accurate.
There's this. It's really big and really fat, and its head is so small, and I want it to be Zibby.
It's a genus of Turriosaurian, a sauropod. Late Jurassic, it says.
I mean...
ZBY.
It's named after Georges Zbyszki.
Oh, wait. It's Tessa's Wikia, not real Wikipedia. It's for her fan fiction.
It's for my
with
fan
dinosaurs
fiction about, like, where I was a dinosaur.
Yeah.
Zibby.
It's tiny
What
head.
the fuck?
Okay, now that we've gone over the stuff, all of the stuff that you got wrong.
Okay, well, if I had to choose one from this book, I would probably pick... Hadrosaur, because I also have like big pockets of teeth in the back of my mouth that are just made up of tiny little teeth. That was the one, right?
Yep.
Hadrosaur?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Mikael, basically, he got rid of all of his teeth, and I have them in my mouth.
Don't say that.
Like George Washington.
In there.
Isn't there like what's that thing about George Washington? How he like had
like,
teeth made out of his
dinosaur
teeth.
teeth.
Yep.
I think the whole slave teeth
his
thing was like a
dinosaur
myth,
slaves.
wasn't it?
Yeah, they
I
were
think he had
definitely.
wooden
It
teeth.
was like hippo ivory or something.
He had different ones. I think some of them were wooden, some of them were horse, and some of them were human. I think he just had a mix.
What if he had hadrosaur teeth and just like thousands of teeth?
Oh my god, he opens his mouth and then just like teeth fall out. See, what happened was I keep putting teeth in my mouth because I keep having
they
that
would've
nightmare
mentioned
where my
that in
teeth
Hamilton.
fall out.
Jesus. Oh my god. Okay. Hadrosaur, the boring one. Got it. Brayden, who's next?
Me, I guess.
None of them are better than Pteranodons, so just get on with it.
Okay. You know what? Of the ones we talked about, I believe the one that best describes my personality is Guillermo. It's just like, you know, he's an older guy at this point. He's obviously getting up there, but he's still fucking just he's still so defined by just fucking loving anime and watching girls get straight done by fish
Oh my
dudes.
god. Yeah, I heard it was pretty intense as movies go.
Oh,
And I'm
man,
talking
yeah, that
about
was
my
a
short
fun one.
film where I fuck a jug of water.
Shape of water, just tight enough.
I picture Brayden as like one of those really tiny dinosaurs from
Oh,
Jurassic Park.
Compy.
Yeah, where it's like, you know, one of them,
Compsognathus.
not a big deal.
A
But if there
thousand
was
of
a
them.
million Braydens. Yeah,
Then
exactly.
they would like rip apart a guy in Jurassic Park too.
It's just a blackout.
I'm actually 1,000 compies.
In a trench coat.
Now, okay, guys, I'm
Oh,
very
God.
excited because now we've referenced all 3 Jurassic Park films,
Oh,
Nice.
yep, there we go.
and that makes me very happy.
Thankfully, we didn't
Oh.
reference Jurassic World. Thankfully.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, true. All 3 good Jurassic Park movies.
Yeah, all 3 good ones. And by that I mean the first one 3 times.
That's what it is for me. I'm not gonna lie. So I guess I'll talk about what I kind of dinosaur
Yes.
I think I would be or would / relate to, and definitely out of these ones, Deinonychus, because I like to kick things. And also,
And you've always got great big, like your big toe is this
my
terrifying
big toe
nail.
is just, I never
Yeah.
clip my big toe.
Oh, gross.
I want
yellow
to
and
get
curved.
into the Guinness Book of World Records, but really, my biggest thing that I relate to Deinonychus on is I like to hang out with people. Like, no irony there. It's just like I am a very social person, and if I am not hanging out with people, I like always just get stressed out, and so I am like Deinonychus. I hunt in packs, and so on that note, I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me tonight and talking about my favorite thing in the world, which is dinosaurs.
Hell
Thanks
yeah,
for
we're so
being
happy to
on.
have you.
This is awesome.
So, Scottie, the way I know that you are an expert on dinosaurs is because you have a YouTube channel.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah. So I host and produce a YouTube show called Thagomizers, which is basically all about the arts and culture surrounding dinosaurs and how dinosaurs have changed over the years, how we think about them, and like how they've been represented in popular culture.
Would you care to spell that for the folks at home?
Yes, Thagomizers, THAGOMIZERS. And you can check that out at youtube.com/Thagomizers. I also have a Twitter at Thagomizers. I think I actually got just straight up at Thagomizers.
That's a get, man.
Yeah,
That's a get.
I think I did. I can't remember.
Well, thank you for being on the show. It is very nice to have someone who knows what the
Who
fuck
knows
they're
about what
talking
they're talking
about.
about? Yep.
Yeah, and I can
try.
ask a question, and the answer is not like, I'll Google it. Because
Wikipedia
yes,
says.
I have a million more questions, and if you listeners do also, make sure to check out Scottie on YouTube or Twitter, or I'm sure you can Google him and find him elsewhere. Next week, we'll be talking about Animorphs number 19, and the following week, we'll be talking about the morphs from that book in the Live from the Gardens.
You can find more of our stuff on our podcast page at collectivelegacy.org, and we also have Twitters and Tumblrs and Facebooks and Instagrams.
Be sure to follow, like, subscribe to the relevant social media pages, and also, follow just us on Twitter, Facebook. I make a lot of really good jokes. Tessa posts rather regular drunk nudes. It's
Oh my
shocking,
God.
but if
Come
you're
on.
into that, that's fine.
Have some
Brayden.
dignity.
Brayden,
I'm
you
the
weren't
one who
supposed
posts
to tell
nudes.
anybody.
For the Fanimorphs, I have been Mikael, the host.
I'm Tessa, the expert.
I'm Brayden, a slithery, slimy pool of ants and slop.
And I guess I'm the guest, Scottie.
Guest host. Come on,
guest
full
host.
title.
Okay.
Yes.
Guest host.
And this has been Live from the Gardens, a Fanimorph podcast about how to be a convincing Animorph in the late Cretaceous. Good night. If you're looking for more Fanimorphs content, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Just search for Fanimorphs, the Dork-Bajir Chronicles.
Hello everyone, my name is Jared, and this is Two Nerds in a Basement. Once a week, me and another nerd watch one of the over 70 movies put out by Marvel or DC Comics over the last 50 years and talk about them for far too long.
Can we just take a moment to address the fact that Howard the Duck looks like Martin Sheen?
You just want a Jimmy Olsen torture scene, right?
Something. Don't just shoot him in the head. Like, string him up by his toenails and just go to town on him.
And he's just got this scratchy voice. It's so annoying.
What's our solution to nuclear warfare? 10-year-olds?
It's like, I want to be a witch. I want to explore the black magics, and you get the aesthetic of your dreams, right?
I went straight to the boob grabbing. Hang on. Let me get there.
Brought to you by
Collective Legacy.
a podcast network.